Question, are you 55 and older, or maybe older, and looking for work? Maybe you're looking to supplement your Social Security. Maybe you're looking to supplement your retirement income for having worked for many years for an employer or two. Or maybe you're looking to supplement both of them. Or maybe you just enjoy working and really miss being in the workforce. If you fit into any of those categories, or both, or whatever, and you just happen to be an older worker, well, you've come to the right place, because I am dedicating myself to helping encourage, motivate, share insights, all the tips and strategies I can to help you be successful and your quest for attaining, whether it's part-time or full-time work. I have been a career counselor for over 25 years plus, and I love sharing. So today's video, I'm going to talk about don'ts when you go for an interview. A lot of us have, had worked for a long time and maybe not have interviewed recently, and so we're not sure about what to say and what not to say, or you may think you know what to say and what not to say, and you get on the interview and you leave the interview and say, oh, did I say that? Oh, I didn't mean to say that. So, and then once it's out, there's nothing you can do about it. So I'm just going to cover a few of the don'ts when you're interviewing. You have an opportunity to interview for that position. So this is namely applying to older workers. All right, so I'm going to probably list, let's say, 6 don'ts. Number 1, don't mention your age. Don't mention. I was talking to a neighbor just the other day, and it was fine the way she mentioned it. She said something about her little grandson, and she said, I'm too old for that. I took him back to his mother. She took him to soccer camp. He didn't want to get out the car. And she said, I drove him right back to his mother. She said, I'm too old for that. Well, that's understandable. Anyway, I thought that was kind of funny. But when you're on the job, when you're going for an interview, you're not going to say anything about I'm too old. Or, when you get my age. No. When you get my age. Employers don't want to hear that. That's like a red flag. Where's something red? Do I have anything red? I'll find something red. Oh, that's a red flag for employers. I'm looking for something red. Do I have a red pen? I think I have a red pen up here. That's a red. Let's pretend this is a flag. That's a red flag for employers. You say my age when you get to be my age. Don't mention your age, okay? Number 1. Number 2. If, a lot of times I hear a lot of people more recently talk about surgeries. And I hear a lot about knee surgeries. A lot of folks, when you get older, start saying they had triple knee surgery and whatever. I mean, I don't know if you have triple knee surgery, but knee surgery. So you're not going to get on that interview. You have an opportunity to interview. This is the second one, and talk about your surgeries. How, you haven't worked for a while because you had knee surgery or you had hip surgery and this other kind of surgery. Employers don't want to hear about your surgeries. Yes, you had the surgeries, but that's not something you want to introduce in an interview to sound up to date, contemporary, and as a viable consideration for an employer to hire you. They don't want to hear it. They don't want to hear about when you get my age. They don't want to hear about your surgeries. So keep that to yourself. Number 3, they don't want to hear about what you can't, nowadays they got all this new software and new technology, and the young folks know how to do it, but I'm a good worker, but I'm not so much up on the technology. Wrong answer. Employers do not want to hear that you are not up on technology. The young people know how to be on, they're on technology. My little grandson, he's 7 years old. He's a whiz on tech, a little bit too much actually, with technology. But they come into this world, it's almost in their DNA now. but that's not something you're going to mention. Because quiet is kept as an older worker, it may take you a little bit longer to learn some of the technology, and you're not going to learn it all. Nobody's going to learn it all because there's a lot out there. But I'm just going to tell you this really briefly. I had a job recently, and I would still be there except for they ran out of clients in my area. And when I went to work, I have a Samsung phone, You know, everybody know what a Samsung. Okay, this is Samsung. I don't have an iPhone. I like my Samsung. I've had it for a while now. I really like it. It's user friendly. It's called the Android. So when I started this job, they said, okay, we're going to assign you to an iPhone. I'm thinking, I already got one phone. Can't I just use, put the apps in this phone? No. We need you to have a separate phone, a company phone, an iPhone with every single app you could name in there. And it required me to put clients' notes in there, timesheets in there, clocking in and out, talking to my supervisor, keeping up with the latest company information, all that in the iPhone. And also meeting they have what they call a team app on there where you can actually talk almost like a Zoom, like a video where we can have meetings and see each other on the phone. And so when they were going to give me an iPhone, I thought, oh my gosh, first of all, I don't want two phones. I got this one phone and I really don't want, but that was part of the job to have two phones. So the woman who gave me the phone, when I got the phone, I had to go and get the phone and sign up, and sign out for it and everything. And then I was talking with a coworker, and I said, I was saying, I don't really want to have two phones, and got these apps in here, and you got to learn the apps. She said, well, you'll get the hang of it. And in my mind, I was kind of protesting. And when I had to turn in my timesheet, I had to do it on the phone. On my iPhone. My supervisor walked me through it, of course, because, it was new. But then I told him, I loved him. We got along so well. His name was Jamie. I said, Jamie, you're going to tell me once, but you're not going to have to keep telling me how to do this. I said, because I remember in orientation, you said there was one person on staff who was having a hard time learning all of this, and they keep asking you over and over and over the same thing. And he was making kind of light of it. He's a very wonderful man and very kind. And it wasn't a put down, but I said, I'm not going to be that person, Jamie. He said, oh, you remember I said that about that person? That's that person? I said, yes, I'm not going to be that person. So I took that little iPhone home and I went over it until I got it. And I said, because, I'm not going to have them hire an older worker and then find out I can't even learn the apps on the phone. I said, no, that's not going to be me. I kept playing around with the phone and, discovering new, how to work the different apps and the various features. And I got it, And so, they were probably pretty surprised that, I never had to call, whoa, what about this and what about that? And I can't learn. No. So you're never going to say to your prospective employer or the person who's interviewing you anything about your inability to learn technology. Because guess what? If we don't know it, we need to know it now. Technology is going absolutely nowhere. If anything, it's speeding up. So you can't be afraid of technology. That doesn't mean you know all the apps and all the software. But you have to have an open mind so it's not just closed. Because, like I said, I have to admit, my protest was, I don't want another phone. I don't want to have to carry another phone around. And that was part of the job. But I learned it. I said, if other people can, learn the app, I can too. It may take me a minute, but I'm doggone it, I'm going to learn it. And I'm not going to have my supervisor saying I'm the one that never got it and have to keep checking with him to learn how to, to tell me how to do this and do that. I said, no. I'm not going to be the one. So anyway, that's number 3. You're not going to talk about your lack of ability to learn. In my day when I got hired, we didn't have technology. Well, this is 2020, whatever year it is, 25 right now. Technology is here to stay. Every employer, everybody's using technology in some way, shape, form, or fashion. So that's number 3. You're not going to mention that. You're not going to, listen, I have 7 beautiful grandchildren. I love them dearly. I live in Southern California. I'm very close to them. And I'm here because in Southern California, I moved here because I wanted to be close to my grandchildren. But when I go to interviews and I'm older, I don't mention the fact, they know that I'm older. I don't bring up my grandchildren. That's number 4. I don't talk about, my little grandchild. Now, you get the job, you can talk about your grandchild till the cows come home. But during that interview, you don't want them to see you, when you say grandchild. I mean, you could have grandchildren at 40 years old nowadays, especially. But especially being older, you're not going to, and grandchildren have nothing to do with the interview. So you're not going to mention anything about your grandchildren. Leave that out of there. Just want them, you want that employer to see you as fresh and competitive, a mature worker, but not where you had needs. You're talking about your surgery. You're talking about your lack of ability to do technology. You're talking about, just being older. You don't want the employer to see. They're thinking, okay, here comes trouble. We don't know. You're not the one. Next. You don't want that to be the case. So these are the don'ts. All right. So moving right along, we're not going to mention our grandchildren as much as we love our grandchildren. You're not going to talk about any issues you had on your previous job with anybody. I mean, I had a supervisor. She and I ended up having a good relationship, but she was a micromanager. Lord have mercy. She was a micromanager, and I'm not. You don't need to micromanage me. I'm very, self-manage. I'm good at self-managing. I don't need, and she was micromanaging the heck out of me, and boy, we couldn't see eye to eye. But eventually, it worked out. I think she got my work style, trusted me, and then all that micromanaging went out the window. But initially it was, but you're not going to mention anything in an interview about any supervisor you didn't get along with or any issues, negative issues. If they ask you questions about, give me a time when, you didn't get along, you're going to have to dress it up and think about it before, those kind of questions beforehand, so you don't open your mouth and say, I didn't get along with so-and-so. No. Or when you had this big disagreement on the job. So that's number 5. You definitely do not want to mention anything about not getting along with a supervisor. The other thing you're not going to mention your finances. You're not going to mention the fact that you need to go to work because Social Security is not enough, or your retirement money is not enough. Nobody wants to hear about your financial woes when you're on when you're on an interview for a job, for a job. So you keep that to yourself. If you had to catch the bus there and hope your transfer don't run out, I guess they still give transfers. You're not going to mention anything about money, your lack of money, and that's why you need to come back to work, because your income, the money that you bring in, doesn't cover all your financial responsibilities. That's a no-no. You're not going to discuss any of that. You're not going to discuss number 6. I think we're on number 6. Any personal issues that you have with family members. Not going to bring it up. You're not going to talk about it. You're going to stay upbeat, positive. You're going to look to impress that prospective employer like you're a viable, fresh candidate. You are mature, but you're flexible. You're bright. You're energetic. You're not coming with a bunch of baggage. And you're not going to, this is one thing I want to say, you're not going to talk about younger people. Like, yeah, nowadays, younger people are running everything. No. Well, if that's the case, that's the case. You're not going to sound like sour grapes. Yeah, they don't have a place for us older people anymore. Well, yeah, they won't have a place for you if you come in with that kind of attitude. So those are some of the don'ts when you have an opportunity to talk to a prospective employer or recruiter about a job that that you've applied for or have shown an interest in. So those are some of the don'ts. I'm sure I could think of more, but those are some of the critical don'ts that you definitely don't want to mention. The other thing too is if you have any kind of challenge, physical challenge, and I don't mean like surgery, but I've had to start wearing glasses, right? And I'm not happy about it, but I do need glasses. Well, I'm not going to go to that interview and start talking about some kind of deficit I have in terms of if it's deemed as a disability or whatever. And that's not saying that the people with disabilities shouldn't get hired. Don't get me wrong. I don't mean that at all. I mean, you're not going to just harp on that about the challenges that you have relative to, if I said, yeah, my eyesight ain't what it used to be, and now I have to wear, okay, well, no, the interview's going to go downhill, and they're putting a big fat red mark by your name. Red flag, get her out of here. We're not hiring her. Okay, so anyway, a little bit of humor there, but hopefully you got the gist of what I wanted to share with you. Some of the don'ts when you go for an interview. You're not going to, this is one thing I want to mention. You're not going to dress up like we used to back in the day. You know how we would really put on our Sunday go to meeting or our best. Now it's just business casual. It's business casual. So you do want to, upgrade a little bit, but you're not going to necessarily wear a 3-piece suit or whatever because they may see you as overdressed. So business casual, if you're not familiar with that term, you want to look that term up. Business casual will suffice for most interviews. All right, and I think that's it that I can cover for now. I'm sure there's a lot more I could cover, but let's just leave it at that for now. My name is Maria. Please like and subscribe, and I hope this has been helpful for you because I love sharing. I have a lot of information, insight, years of experience, and like I said, I'm still out there interviewing. Like I said, I have an interview coming up this Thursday that I need to prep for. All right? So leave me a comment. Let me know what you think. If there's any areas I can help you in, let me know, and I am here to help you. All right, so I'm going to sign off for now, and I hope to see you at the top because that's where I hang out. Bye-bye for now.